What's up, you guys? This is Zay Brooks, and this is episode 40 of a show I do not know the title to yet. Today, what I want to talk about is outlook is everything. And the first example I'd like to make is you can have two people that are extremely broke, right? No money in the bank, not sure what to do with their lives. And one could be complaining the entire time about how, woe is me, life is always, on top of me, I can never get a break. I'm going to stay broke like this. I guess I have to settle into this life of finding a job that I don't want to work. And then on the other side, you have a person who's also the same amount of broke, but their mindset, their outlook on life is completely different. Yeah, this might be my current circumstances, but I believe, I have faith in the idea that I'll become this person, or this is who I want to be, and I'm willing to sacrifice and not have a lot of money right now to chase the dream of who it is that I want to be, or chase whatever it is that I want. I feel like whatever I'm asking for is deserving of me, and it's coming towards me. But mind you, they're both still the same amount of broke. And if you had to bet money on who actually is going to make it and who's going to stay the same, you would bet on the person that's naturally more positive, has a greater outlook on things. And there's so much power to that, right? I think there's so much unforeseen energy that you can't really mark as to why that person will be successful, but their outlook on life will just naturally bring abundance, or this specific opportunity, or this break that they were looking for. One of my best friends, they always talk about this specific type of car, and then for some reason now, every single time the car passes by, they're like, oh, there it is, look, there's that car. It's like having an outlook on things points your mind to look at things a certain way. So now naturally you see this red car, for example, that you've really been wanting, or you start to see more opportunities that could flourish and have full of abundance, right? What made me want to talk about this today is I could look at my life and I do things that are really cool, and I travel and I get to meet celebrities and do trivia, right? And to some people, they'd have the outlook on my life and be like, that's awesome, that's beautiful, that you get to do that. I wish I could have something like that. And then on the flip side, you could have people that are a lot higher than me that are saying, oh, wow, you only do this? You only have this much money in your account? You only get to do... You see, outlook on where you are in life, it ultimately means a lot more than you think. You could self-sabotage yourself out of something because you believe the opportunity isn't subjectively fun for you, isn't subjectively worthy, but to someone else, it could mean everything, And it helps you live in this state of gratitude that it's like, man, my life could always be worse. And at the same time, life can also get a lot better. There's an infinite spectrum of the things that can take place in your life, right? The level of outlook just propels your perspective on what can take place in your life. And, even for me in my life, right? I'm talking about how me being an entrepreneur, I live, at least I try to live as much as I can in this state of abundance where opportunities are flowing all around me. I just met this guy who he owns a furniture business, and he makes high-end furniture. And we end up shaking hands. I saw him a couple months ago. I see him again today. We end up talking, and he's like, I would love for you to represent me and potentially find me deals for bigger brands. Do some outreach for me. I'd love you to help me with my content strategy. And I have no idea what's going to come from it. That's not what matters. I try to believe in the idea of living on your highest excitement with zero insistence on the outcome. The point I'm trying to make is my outlook on life. I feel like opportunities are just pouring in towards me, right? The book by Michael A. Singer, The Surrender Experiment, this guy, without ruining the book for you, he literally decided to let go. He had this idea of who he wanted to be, all these things, blah, 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 and then he said, you know what? This is what I want. Now I'm going to let go and let the universe figure out what's supposed to happen. And sure enough, he becomes one of the most successful people in the world. I don't even want to, trust me, The Surrender Experiment, Michael A. Singer, please read that book. His outlook on life is so simple, but yet such abundance comes with it. I just, maybe I'm beating around the bush just saying, outlook can truly ruin you. However you see life, my mom always tells me 90% of life, or 10% of life is what happens to you, 90% is how you react to it. Your reaction, your outlook, your perspective on the way life is unfolding in front of you. It sounds like such a simple concept, but subconsciously we always go right to back to our habits, you could walk away from this video or walk away from me talking to you and being like, man, I think I can have a better outlook on life. But then you hit adversity, you hit something that you don't really feel like doing, or something happens to you that you can't really explain, that's out of your control. And sure enough, you go back to that negative outlook, that scarcity outlook, the outlook that, man, I must be stuck here, and that means I must deserve these negative things that come towards my way, and I'm having this type of day, and my life is like this. I think it's very quick to do that when you face adversity, and that's with anything, right? Building a business, lifting weights, dieting. Like, once you meet adversity, that's when you really see who it is that you want to become. And I feel myself getting checked all the time on my outlook. There might be situations where something negative really happens, and I have to sit there and be like, wow, let me practice what I preach. Let me find the good and the bad, be thankful, find perspective, and ultimately have a greater outlook on my current circumstances. Like I said, these two broke people, they're in the exact same spot. You can have a person who, they both want to be YouTubers. They both want to be entrepreneurs, content creators. And one has this outlook where he feels like everything is coming towards him. He's getting better. He's learning what he needs to learn. And then you have somebody else who says, well, I make content, but none of my friends watch my videos. And my family doesn't really support me. And the algorithm is, all off. And, it's two completely different people, but they're both in the same place in my hypothetical scenario. Who would you think is going to make it, and who would you think is going to stay the same? It's the person who has a greater outlook on things. If you don't have, if you're in a situation where it's very negative, or you're finding it hard to have a better outlook on things, the best thing you could do, which is what I do in my life, is stay present. And if you need to say something to get it off your chest, I usually say it is what it is. It is what it is, right? I can't change it. It's out of my control. It's unfortunate, blah, blah, blah. I can make a million excuses under the sun. But is that going to stop me from being whoever it is that I want to be? No, it actually makes me more stubborn. I look at the world and I say, all right, F you. This is what I want to do, so I'm going to do it. I don't care what just happened. I don't care how I feel. I don't care about none of these things. I know what it is that I want. I set a pact with myself. I set manifestations years ago. This is who I want to be, so I'm going to do it no matter what the world or anybody has to say about it. You see, like, that positive outlook, something negative happens, I understand life is full of peaks and valleys, yin and yang, as above, so below. If this is a negative experience, I need to learn something from this so that when the positive comes around, I can truly be thankful in the present moment just as much as I was when it's negative. It's like when we're in the negative moments, we're so present. Oh, man, everything is so negative and everything is... But then once everything's positive, we're like, oh, but I wonder what's next, or can I do this again? Having an outlook, being present, gaining perspective. It's so simple, but yet I think it's honestly pretty hard. And that's why people end up limiting themselves so much, because, their manifestations, or the way that they see life, it's their assumption of what's happened to them in the past. So if you tried 7 businesses and they all haven't worked, your outlook on the 8th will probably set you up for disaster before you even start, right? Manifestation comes from getting rid of all the things that have happened in your past, acknowledging them for what they are, but not believing that the same thing will happen time and time again. People make businesses all the time. People try different channels. People try different foods and clothes, right? But you end up dooming to doom when you take these past failures, these past losses, and putting it to where you are right now, adding it into your current manifestations. It's not fair to yourself. While I have a break here in thought, I'm gonna be honest with you guys. It's pretty difficult to do anything in life where you're not seeing the results right away. I've been doing this channel since February, and I'm not complaining at all. I'm just trying to give you perspective on my life and what it is that I want to do. We're in late June now, and it's been about 5 or 6 months, and the videos are fun. I enjoy doing it. It's a good time, but there are times where I don't feel like doing it, and I think that might be because the amount of views that I'm not getting. I know I'm destined for 100,000 subscribers and 1 million subscribers, and all these videos are going to hit, and I'm going to have a community. And I know that. I get it. But am I willing to suffer, willing to experience the lonely moments, the moments where I don't feel like doing this? When I have 100,000 views per video, I'm going to feel geeked to do every video, because people are genuinely wanting to hear what I have to say, and the comments are full of a community that gives life, love, and positivity. But for right now, am I willing to endure the lonely moments? I sat down doing this video, and I was like, man, I want to do it, but at the same time, it's like I don't really feel like doing it, if that makes sense. But that's not going to stop me from what it is that I want to do. I wanted to figure out a way to sit down and do something so simple and show everybody to live without limits, and that anything is truly possible. Whoever it is that you want to be, whatever it is that you want to do, you can go ahead and do that, and nobody's stopping you except yourself. This is a living testament right now. Some of these videos get 5 views, 10 views, 20 views. I'm excited when it hits like 60 or 100. Mind you, when I'm a content creator, doing trivia, a million views is like light to me now. And that's not just like flex. I'm just saying like different things call for different versions of you. And in this version of myself, this is a business that I also want to run that has to do with just me, getting paid to be me. And some things take longer than others. Some things, they have trials and tribulations, and the process, the journey for everything is completely different. And I'm willing to go the distance, and that's all that matters, right? There are moments where you don't want to go to the gym, or you don't want to do your homework, or you don't want to be the best friend that you can be, or the best son or boyfriend, or whatever you want to call it. But not quitting, gaining perspective, having a greater outlook on life, on whatever it is that you want to do, whoever it is that you want to be, that matters a lot more than we think. It's hard. I'm not gonna lie. Like I love giving you guys things to resonate with in your own life, thought-provoking concepts, but life happens for me too, and I think it's important for me to go back and watch some of these videos myself and realize, there are things to learn from. You could be the pastor that preaches everything that needs to be said, but are you really taking a sip of your own medicine? Are you really applying the things that you say in your own life? And Robert Kiyosaki's book, Rich Dad Poor Dad, talks about how a lot of these financial investors don't take the same advice that they give. Oh, you should invest in these securities. Oh, you should invest in your Roth IRA. Oh, you should take, this influx of money, take 20% of your earnings and put it into the stock market and see it grow year over year with compound interest. But, that you look at their life and they don't make the same financial decisions. Doctors, nurses, oh, you should do this with your body. You should do this with your diet. You should do this with your fitness. But respectfully, if you take a look at these doctors and nurses, it's like, are you really saying the same advice as to what you're doing? And I bet you some of you guys are curious about my life and, all these things that I'm saying. Am I really being that patient? Am I really living with abundance? Am I really living without limitations? Do I always have a chief definite aim, burning desire, and unwavering faith? I bet you a lot of you are curious. And this is me just being present in front of you guys right now. I am doing my best to practice what I preach, to be the best version of myself. Because that, to me, feels hollow. It doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel authentic if I was telling you to do all these things and then you somehow meet me and I'm like this person that's the opposite of what I'm talking about. So I genuinely appreciate you guys for sticking with me this long. And, there are times where I enjoy doing it and there are times where I don't enjoy doing it as much, but I know what it is that I want. I have a chief definite aim, burning desire, and unwavering faith that this show will be something that is special. And that's my outlook on it. I get the same amount of views right now on this channel as somebody else doing video game content or somebody else doing vlogs or whatever, right? Although we have the same ample abundance of opportunity for anything to take place, you could self-sabotage and limit yourself based on how you choose to look at your channel. If it's whatever to you, if it's whatever to, post when you need to or stay consistent and keep getting it out, not knowing how many ears, and eyes it's going to fall on. That outlook can truly stop you when nobody stopped you except yourself. I think we stop ourselves from doing so many things in life, so many special, great things, because we think we have this perception of what other people think about us, or we have a perception of what the world thinks about our content. We have no idea. I've posted some videos where I was like, it's whatever, millions of views. And I post videos where I'm like, oh my God, this is a banger, crazy video. 500 views. I remember when I blew up on TikTok, right? I posted for a year and I finally blew up, right? I'm talking like 100,000 followers, in a weekend. And what I started to do is become self-conscious about my videos. I was like, oh, this one didn't hit 10K, so I got to delete it. Man, I want the shit to say, 10K. I wanted to see that. If I didn't see that, I deleted it. It could have been the funniest video. It could have been a video that I spent a lot of time on caring about. If I didn't see the results that were out of my control, I deleted it. And so I ended up getting in my own head and I sold myself. I didn't post anymore, and sure enough, the TikTok died. Like, if you go look at my page right now, Zay Brooks, 124,000 followers, but no traction, no motion. Like, I understand TikTok moves on to other people, and and I could keep posting if I wanted to. Like, yeah, Zay, you have 124,000. Like, why don't you still post? And that's true. But I also feel like I can live my life and be successful however I see fit. And right now, pouring into Babita, the company that I work with, pouring into UGC deals of what I'm doing, getting paid to be me, and this page is the most fun. This is the highest excitement that I would experience. Making those videos, it doesn't really get me as geeked. Sorry, geek, that's such a low vernacular word. As excited, as amped up as, what I'm doing right now, and something that's really scary to think about too, and I might be going off on an entire tangent here about outlook. Some people will reach success in a certain thing. Let's say I'm making content about pizza, right? But I'm not passionate about pizza, and it starts to do well. Now, I got out of a job to get back into a job because both of those things I call a job because I don't enjoy doing. When you really enjoy doing something, you don't call it a job. You call it a career, you call it a passion, you call it whatever. Some people will be like, well, you had this thing, why don't you keep doing that? Because you live in the mind state that you think that just because it makes money, it's worth not living in happiness and having enjoyment and passion. You think that monetary incentive comes with suffering. I disagree entirely. Oh, well, you get to make content and do the so why wouldn't you keep doing? Yeah, you hate it, but I work over here. It's the same concept. Money doesn't rule my life. I know in my mind's eye, I have millions of dollars. When I walk around and I look at these buildings and I look at food or clothes or shoes, like no matter how much money I have in my account, I think I can buy it. If I want to go to Japan right now, like I think I can do it. So because of that outlook, why would I ever spend time doing something that I don't want to do? A content strategy that may do well, but I don't enjoy doing. A business that I may want to make, but I'm not passionate about women's shoes. I'm not passionate about watches. Like, just because the monetary incentive is there doesn't mean that you're just supposed to take that. Not all money is good money. Not all money is something that, you're willing to sacrifice your integrity, willing to sacrifice your passions. Like me working a tech sales job, making $100,000, and then me making $100,000 building a business that I'm not passionate about. I got myself out of a job into entrepreneurship to put myself back into a job because I don't enjoy it. My outlook on life, I feel like gives me the freedom that I have right now. Outlook is truly everything. If you feel like you have to suffer and live a life that you're not supposed to live, to maybe have enough money to go to the movies and go get food and go get drinks, like that's the life that you're setting for yourself. The law of manifestation, whatever it is that you have in your life right now, you manifested years ago, whether you like it or not. Your outlook on everything opens up your mind's eye to the manifestations of what it is that you truly want. Your outlook can cause limitations, which causes self-sabotage, which causes a whirl of shit. But on the flip side, if you can change your outlook to say, you know what, I don't know what's going to happen, but I do know something good is going to happen, I think you have all the power to be whoever it is that you want to be. One of my best friends, he wants to become a very successful card. He wants to trade cards, like trading cards. And he had asked me, what do I need to do in order to become a successful card vendor? And I learned this from Robert Kiyosaki. It's not what you have to do to get what you want. It's who you have to be to get what it is that you rightfully deserve. I'll say that again. It's not what you have to do to get what it is that you want. It's who you have to become to get what you believe you rightfully deserve. And it's hard for people to understand that. It's like, okay, well, you're telling me I have to, don't I have to do to be? It's like, I guess, yeah, but it's more about the mind state. It's more about the outlook of how you see yourself, right? If you see yourself as this very successful content creator, a business owner, or whatever, that start is a lot better than where other people stand. They'll work 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, but they don't have the mind state or the outlook on life where they feel like they are going to be successful, where they end up just working for no reason. And it never works out because they never believed it was in the first place, or they never believed that anything and everything is possible with their business. Like I said, this guy that I just met that builds furniture, who knows the relationship that can flourish off of that? It might just be high and by. I help him with his content strategy, and that's what it is. Or, I don't even want to say it out loud, but there could be other opportunities where I could, be in partnership with this guy. I think that's really cool, and that's just the way I look at my life. The amount of abundance, the things that can take place, truly anything is possible. It's just the way I want to see life. And I think everybody has the power, the right, the freedom to see life that way as well. Do you allow society or your friends' opinions or their perspectives and their projections on your life to shape your reality? Well, I don't know. They might not. I think you need to take some time to reflect and figure out if that really is the case. That's pretty much all I want to say about Outlook. Just really reflect and figure out where it is that your mind state goes. What do you believe about yourself? Where do you see yourself in 1 year, 3 years, 5 years? Where do you see yourself? That stuff matters. Really figure out when you face adversity, when things go wrong, where does your mind state go? What is your outlook on life? Do you think about it negatively? Do you think about it positively? Do you take it realistically? And one last thing I'll say before our guided meditation, I don't believe in realists. Life is what you make it. How could you explain to me what's real? Everybody's life is subjective. The experiences, the things that they go through, it's all subjective. So how are you going to explain to me what's real? My perception of reality can be far different than yours. My manifestations, the way I live life, to me, realism is pessimism. You're just saying that you're living in real life. But a lot of the times, realists have a negative outlook on life. Optimists, there's so much abundance living up there for people who choose to be optimistic on life, to have a great outlook on life. And I think there's a lot more power than we realize. So next, what I want to do is a guided meditation. So if you don't mind finding somewhere on the ground, on your bed, whatever feels comfortable. And what I want you to do is close your eyes for me and just do your best to really listen to what I'm saying. So let's close your eyes. And what I want you to do is breathe in through your nose and out through your mouth. We're going to do this 2 more times. In and out. One more time. In and out. Now what I want you to do is think about where in life you think you need a better outlook. Somewhere in life that you look at that you would say is negative. Your job, your friends, your roommate, your mom, whoever. Think about something in your life where you have a negative outlook on it. Right? And now you're like, Zay, I'm meditating. Why am I thinking of something negative? Because this is what I want you to do. Figure out a way right now not to be realistic about the scenario, but be optimistic. What to be thankful for in that negative scenario, or what is it teaching you? What lessons are there to learn? And if you can't think of anything optimistic, I would ask you to simply let go and tell yourself it is what it is. That situation, whatever it is, it simply is what it is. Furthermore, you are the CEO of your own life, and you get to decide how you get to perceive your outlook, any of those things, on every single scenario, situation that you have in your life. Keep your eyes closed for me. Think about something in your life right now that you have a positive outlook on. Your partner, your job, your hobbies. Now you have these positive emotions, these positive feelings. Can you figure out a way to take that positive outlook, that present mind state, that thankfulness, that gratitude, and can you take it to every other aspect of your life? It's easy to do it when it's good, but can you find that positive mind state, that positive perspective when things aren't going good, when things are full of adversity or unenjoyable moments? I think if you can figure out a way to have that optimistic life in every aspect, there's so many doors and avenues and opportunities that can open up for you. It almost seems like a no-brainer. Why would I ever choose in this life that people deem to be so difficult and so hard to get up in this world with economics and the way life is? Why would I self-sabotage myself and make it even harder by talking negatively or even just realistic? quote unquote realistic about my life? Why would I not choose to be overly optimistic, overly abundant? I mean, we all need that. We all need that quote unquote luck or that abundance. We need that more than ever. Find ways to have a positive outlook on life. Find the good and the bad. Stay thankful. And if you have no other option, just say it is what it is. I can control what I can control. This is who I want to be. This is where I want to go. And nobody can stop me from being the highest version of myself. Chief definite aim, burning desire, and unwavering faith. Nobody will take that from me because it's all based on me. You can open your eyes now. I appreciate you guys, man. I'm in the middle of New York in this park. People are looking at me left and right. And at the end of the day, like, who cares? Like, I know what it is that I want. People's perceptions, opinions about me, it doesn't matter. My outlook on life, I know what it is that I want. And that gets me so, not narrow-minded, but it gets me so focused on the goal that nothing can stop me. My outlook on life is too positive for people's projections and opinions that I don't even know. I couldn't even begin to understand what they could be. It has no effect on me. And if it does, it's more about an acknowledgement. It's not about, that actually influences and sabotages what I got going on. It's just something that you can acknowledge. I appreciate you guys, man. Everything happens for a reason, even to the smallest details of your day. Life is good. It's truly, truly good. All right. I'll see you guys next time.